I'm going to restore law and order
And
in
I
this
have,
country.
except in Democrat-run cities. Look, we have laws. We have to go by the laws. We can't move in the National Guard. I can call insurrection, but there's no reason to ever do that, even in a Portland case. We can't call in the National Guard unless we're requested by a governor.
And yet now, suddenly, the goalposts have shifted. Suddenly, when it suits Trump's political needs to distract everyone, now there's a big show of force so that we're not talking about, a feud with Elon or a budget bill that'll strip healthcare away from 14 million Americans or deprive them of food assistance to the tune of $300 billion. In fact, that's a topic that I discussed with Governor Newsom here. To what extent do you think it was a coincidence that in the aftermath of a week that was just rife with bad news for Trump as it relates to his relationship with Elon, his falling out with Elon, the budget bill obviously being on thin ice, that suddenly he finds, a blue state that is just an easy punching bag for him. It's the state of California, and now we have federal troops
100%.
here.
It's all about news cycles. 24/7. It's about weekly news, whatever he can to distract, to continue. I mean, disastrous economic policies, calamitous economic policies potentially. I mean, it's the theater of the absurd. And so, of course, he comes in. But this is different because this puts American lives at risk, puts the lives of American citizens at risk, and puts the lives of law enforcement at risk. And he's knowingly flaming these fires. He's lit the match. And he knows exactly what he's doing. He's created this spectacle, and he's got to clean it up. And if he can't clean it up, we'll clean it up. And that's why we're down here at the EOC. So it's a serious, serious moment. It is a constitutional moment in this country. We have an immoral president acting illegally and unconstitutionally. And I hope people wake up to what the hell is going on right now.
If you want the definition of depravity, it is the President of the United States who is so desperate for a distraction, he would actually incite violence in an American city, an iconic American city that I've called home myself for 15 years, just so that we're not talking about his failures. He doesn't care what he has to break in his desperation to win a news cycle and get any bad press coverage off of himself. But as far as the lawsuit is concerned, Newsom's office foreshadowed this legal action with a letter sent to Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth yesterday, writing, "On June 7, 2025, President Trump issued a memorandum to your office entitled Department of Defense Security for the Protection of Department of Homeland Security Functions. The memorandum purports to invoke U.S. Code Title 10, Section 12406, to call into federal service members and units of the National Guard to temporarily protect ICE and other United States government personnel who are performing federal functions, including the enforcement of federal law and to protect federal property. Section 12406 states that the president may call into federal service members and units of the National Guard of any state in such numbers as he considers necessary to repel an invasion of the United States by a foreign nation, suppress a rebellion against the authority of the government of the United States, or execute the laws of the United States when the president is unable to do so with regular forces. Section 12406 further states that orders for these purposes shall be issued through the governors of the states." Last night, the Adjutant General of California received a memorandum from your office with the subject line, "Calling members of the California National Guard to federal service," which states that 2,000 members of the California National Guard will be called into federal service effective immediately for a period of 60 days. Notably, this directive did not issue through the governor of the state as required by Section 12406. The Department of Defense did not transmit this directive to the office of the governor, nor was it approved or ordered by the governor of California. This directive is also inconsistent with the president's memorandum, which anticipates coordination with the governors of the states in identifying and ordering units of the National Guard into federal service. In other words, what Trump is doing is not just immoral, which is already abundantly clear. It is blatantly illegal, and he knows it's illegal, which is why a few years ago he himself admitted that he wouldn't be able to do it. He wouldn't be able to exercise that power. But Trump is doing it now because he's an autocrat, and autocrats don't feel the need to abide by the laws. And no one in his administration has enough of a spine to defend the Constitution instead of defending him, and so instead, they just cower to his every whim. But we do have people who are fighting back right now, including the governor's office, with this lawsuit. And the reason that's worth highlighting is because dictators thrive on the perception that their power is absolute. When you give up, when you stop fighting, he wins. We're not going to let that happen. If he's sued, we'll talk about it. When he loses in court, we'll talk about it. When Americans rise up and take to the streets like they're going to do this weekend against him, we'll cover it. Trump's power is not total, and despite his best efforts, this is still a democracy. And so we'll continue fighting to ensure that it stays that way, using every single tool at our disposal. Before you go, if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more and support independent media, please subscribe to this channel. The subscribe button will be right here on the screen. But second, the reality is that we are now in a political environment where this administration can lean on any of the social media platforms to suppress certain voices if they don't like critical coverage. That means my longevity here is in the hands of a few tech billionaires who are already making it clear that they are willing to cater to this administration. To that end, signing up for my newsletter is a way for me to reach you directly if that ever becomes necessary. I'll put the link right here on the screen as well, so please sign up. It's free, but there's also an option to do a paid subscription if you'd like to support me and my team. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching.